All right, today we're going to dive into a really fascinating text that asks a simple but profound question, all in the hope of making sense of the modern human condition.
So the text kicks things off with this powerful question, Akhand Jyoti Kyon, or Why the Eternal Flame? And this isn't just a catchy title. It's the central question that guides this whole exploration into why so many of us feel so lost, and what it might take to find our way back.
Okay, so before we can even get to the whole eternal flame thing, we first have to understand the problem it's trying to solve. The text has a name for it, the modern malady.
I mean, listen to this imagery. It doesn't just say, we're sad. It says we are lost in a thorny bush of sorrows. How vivid is that? It perfectly captures that feeling of being completely stuck, tangled up and scratched by all the difficulties of life.
And it gets even more specific. It paints this picture where poverty is like a pursuing witch constantly chasing us. Ignorance? That's a suffocating blanket of darkness. And what about our own minds? Well, worry and restlessness are described as two-edged swords hitting us from both sides, just leaving us physically and mentally exhausted.
And this points to a huge paradox, right? One that I think a lot of us can feel. On the outside, you might have it all. The car, the house, friends, family. But inside, the reality is often this deep emptiness, a real lack of genuine happiness. It's like what we own has nothing to do with how we actually feel.
So what's behind all this? What's the real root cause of this modern sickness? Well, the text boils it down to one single thing.
And that thing has a name, Trishna. Now, this isn't just wanting something. No, this is on a whole other level. It's an insatiable thirst, a deep, unquenchable craving for more, more, more. And the text says it burns inside of us like a forest fire, just consuming us. And check out this quote. It's just so powerful. We are panting with our tongues out, screaming, "Oh thirst, oh thirst." You can just picture it, can't you? Humanity just running itself into the ground, completely desperate for something it can never get enough of.
And the fallout from this collective thirst, it's devastating. It's the engine behind everything, from simple greed all the way up to the horrors of war. It's what makes people turn on each other, what makes the strong crush the weak.
Okay, so that's a pretty grim picture, right? But don't worry, the text doesn't just leave us there. It offers a way out. And it's not some brand new idea. It's actually a return to something we've kind of forgotten, the path of humanity.
To get us thinking, the author asks a really basic but deep question. It forces us to think about the choice we all have to make, a choice that really defines what it means to be human. And spoiler, the answer isn't about biology.
And here's the answer it gives. The wolf? It's pure Trishna. It's driven by that insatiable thirst, living in this constant state of wanting and fighting. But a human has a choice. We can choose to follow Manavata, the path of humanity. And that, the text says, is the only way to find real peace.
So this Manavata, or humanity, is the answer. It's the cure. The text calls it our royal path, our main job really. It's like the cool water, the nectar, that can finally put out that burning fire of Trishna inside us.
Okay, so what is this path of humanity actually made of? Well, it's made of all these incredible qualities. Fraternity, compassion, love, generosity. You see them on the list. And the point is, these aren't just feel-good words. The text argues they're the actual practical building blocks for a life that has meaning and peace.
All right, so if that's the destination, Manavata, how in the world do we get there? What are the tools we need for this journey?
The text gives us a framework, and it's called Adhyatma Vidya, or spiritual science. And this is important. It's not about blind faith or religion in the way we might think. It's presented as a practical, almost scientific method for transforming ourselves, with yoga right at the heart of it.
Yeah, and when it says yoga, it doesn't just mean stretching and poses. Not at all. It's talking about the whole system, this complete package for life. The different parts, or limbs, are all there to purify us, you know? Yama and niyama work on our morals. Asana and pranayama on our physical health. And then the deeper stuff gets into purifying our minds and our intellect.
And what's the end goal of all this practice? Is to achieve ekagrata, basically a one-pointed, super-focused mind. And the text makes a pretty huge claim here. It says that developing this focus awakens a kind of divine power inside you, something that can transform a regular person into something, well, something more.
So, after looking at the problem, our suffering, and the solution, the path of humanity, we can finally go back to that very first question. What's the point of the Akhand Jyoti, this eternal flame?
And here's the big takeaway. The text claims that all of our major problems, political, social, economic, you name it, they all come from the same single root cause, a fundamental lack of humanity, of manavata, in how we live and run our world.
And that's where the eternal flame comes in. Akhand Jyoti isn't a literal fire. It's a metaphor. It's supposed to be this ongoing discussion, a source of light dedicated to exploring this spiritual science, all to help guide us back to that path of humanity.
And the author really wants to make this clear. This is not about preaching. It's not about asking for blind faith. It's meant to be a totally rational, scientific look at the human mind, like a kind of therapy for the sickness of our modern age.
So you see, we don't end on a neat, tidy answer. Instead, the text leaves us with this final, massive question to think about. The idea seems to be that the journey itself, the discussion, the search for truth, is what matters. And it leaves you wondering, if we keep this conversation going, will we eventually figure out what it truly means to be human?